Hello, everyone. Hello there, and welcome to our session this morning on basic communication. I'm Carly, career facilitator with Goodwill Columbus Workforce Development, and we are very happy that you are joining us this morning. We've got a little brief session, basic session on communication for you today. So some basic elements and some tips for how to most effectively communicate. I probably don't have to tell you that communication is key wherever you are, whatever environment, whatever situation you find yourself in. Communication is paramount, is incredibly important. So we're going to be talking about communication today. We're going to be talking about types of communication, forms of communication, some things to keep in mind while we are communicating and while we're in any environment that we find ourselves in where communication is needed. So we have a wonderful moderator on the line. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those questions or comments in the box. And Valerie is here to chat with you. Again, my name is Carly, and we're with Goodwill Columbus Workforce Development. We're very happy you've joined us. We're doing a special promotion currently to offer free individualized one-on-one assistance, career assistance. So whether it's you want help with your resume, you want help with job searching, you want help with interview skills, any of those things, we're giving one-on-one assistance. So you can follow the link to sign up for a call to do that as well. So that's some of the things that we're offering right now. And Goodwill Columbus in general offers a wide range of services, a lot of different things, anything to help you in your career, and anything from basic career development, help finding a job, like I mentioned just a moment ago, or maybe changing careers through training, certification training, upskilling training. We've got a variety of different services that we offer, and in order to support the community. So that's a little bit about Goodwill. And without further ado, let's get started talking about basics of communication. All right, very good. So let's get it moving. So think about your own communication skills. This is a great time to reflect on your own communication skills and maybe rate yourself from 1 to 10. How would you rate your own communication skills? It'd be a great, if you're joining us live, you can drop that in the comments box. How would you rate from 1 to 10? How would you rate your communication skills? Think about all elements. And this might be also a great time to ask for feedback from someone around you. I encourage you and invite you to get some feedback. Feedback is important, you guys. How do we see our blind spots without a mirror, right? How do we see things that are working that aren't working sometimes without someone reflecting back to us, letting us know what's working and what's not working? And communication skills are a great thing to get some feedback on. So I highly encourage you to get some feedback and rate yourself and have someone rate you on your communication skills and how you can improve. Here's some questions to think about. What does communication skills mean to you? How many ways are there to communicate? And do you believe you're a good communicator? What is communication? What are communication skills? So communication is simply the act of transferring information from one person, place, or group to another. Every communication involves at least one sender, a message, and a recipient. This may sound simple, but communication is a very complex subject. We're just getting into some basics today. Communication skills are abilities you use when giving and receiving different kinds of information, and communication skills involve listening, speaking, observing, and empathizing. That's something that we might not think about, but empathizing allows us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, allows us to kind of observe life through someone else's lens. And through their unique experience and their feelings and thoughts and all of those things. And it's absolutely a form of, a communication skill, because if I can't empathize and I can't relate to what you're experiencing and what you're communicating, then I might not be able to get your full message. So it's something that we don't always think about. But like I said, communication skills are varied. They vary from many different topics, subtopics, and it's a very complex subject. So let's talk a little bit about forms of communication. There's spoken or verbal communication, which is face-to-face, telephone, radio, or television, and other media. There's also nonverbal communication, body language, gestures, how we dress or act, or even our scent. Kind of crazy. And you want to think about is your spoken and your nonverbal communication, is it congruent? Is it saying the same thing? Because I can say, "Good morning. Very happy to see you today. I'm ecstatic. I'm just so happy to be here." That's incongruent communication. That's my nonverbals, my facial expression, and even my tone and my inflection are telling you a different story than what my words are telling you. So there's a lot of elements to keep in mind. Sometimes we say, "Tell your face." Tell your face. If you're happy, great. Tell your face, because it's not saying that. So you want to think about, is your communication congruent between your verbal and your nonverbal communication? And what am I saying with my nonverbal communication? There's also written communication, letters, emails, books, magazines. It's a great way to communicate, especially in this day and age, where we can send information incredibly quickly. On social media, for instance, we see all kinds of written communication. We also see visualizations, graphs, charts, maps, logos. Other visualizations can communicate messages, pictures, images, all kinds of different things. You see a handful of different images or visualizations here that are communicating different messages. If you're familiar with New York City, you can tell that map is a map of New York City without any words to tell you that. So very interesting what just a visualization can communicate. Now, there is one communication skill that we haven't really dug into yet, and it's often overlooked, but it's crucial. So what do you think it is? What's that last communication skill or element of communication that we haven't dove into much yet? What do you think it is? Drop it in the chat box. What might we be talking about next? What is a very important element of communication? Drum roll, anybody? And it's listening. Listening is incredibly important. We think that communication is just what we say, but no, it takes two to tango. There's a receiver. If for your communication to be received or effective, it needs to be received. In order for your communication to be effective, it needs to be received. We're not just talking into the void at no one. You have to be aware of your listener when you're communicating, and when you are listening, you need to be aware of your listening, because it's something that many of us have a tendency to overlook or not do well or get distracted because we don't think about it as being that important. But a message won't be received unless I'm listening to receive it. So here's some elements of why listening is important. It allows you to avoid biases and drawing false conclusions. Something that's very important. It's easy to fill in the gaps. It's easy to make assumptions and draw conclusions if we don't listen to the entire community and to the entire message. Listening also allows you to build rapport, build connection, trust. It allows you to empathize. It allows you to really be connected with the other person if I'm actually listening to what the person is saying. And then it also allows you to learn. There's a lot of things that we can learn from just listening to the people around us and really paying attention to what they're saying. So here are some tips to become a skillful listener and therefore become a skillful communicator. So keep your focus on the person who's speaking. It's really easy to get distracted by one of these that we have with us all the time. But if we're, really focused and committed to being a skillful listener, we want to keep our focus on the person who's talking. Do your best to focus, to hone in on what the person is saying. Listen to understand. Don't just listen to respond. That's something that many of us have gotten caught up into, is just to listen to respond. That I'm, that made me think of something. Okay, I'm just waiting my turn. How am I going to say it? And now you've missed the whole point. You've missed the communication that the person is trying to communicate. So it's very important to continue to listen. And if you catch yourself listening to respond and waiting to respond and thinking about what you're going to say, we've all done it. No judgment in any of this, by the way. We've all done this. These are good tips because everyone has done it before. But really, try to be present to your internal dialogue. And if you're thinking, oh, great, I can't wait to speak, I'm going to say this. This is something I could say. Tune in and, kind of let that thought to the side and tune back in to what the person is saying and what the person is communicating so you can really listen. Consider there's something to learn from anyone. If you can take the approach that anyone can teach me something, that I can learn from anyone, and I'm here to be curious and learn something new. If I can come and listen and engage in a conversation in that way, then that will really support me in actually listening. If I can listen to understand, listen to learn, listen to be curious, listen to think of something in a new way that I hadn't before, that's gonna prime me for actually listening rather than listening to respond or allowing myself to get distracted or something like that. Also, if you don't understand, ask questions. Ask questions. Also also reflect back what the person is saying. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is this. Is that correct? Gain clarity and make sure that you're understanding the person correctly. But also, just reflecting back to them what you're hearing is a very powerful tool to communicate that you are listening. And it also ensures that we are being clear and effective in our communication, that we're saying things that we're hearing what is being said. So what I'm hearing you say is this, and this, is that correct? Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you for understanding me. Thank you for hearing me. Don't let your mind wander. Stay in the moment. This can be a challenge for many of us, but again, if we can practice some mindfulness, be present to when we're listening, be mindful of what our mind and what our thoughts are doing, and just set those aside and focus back on the person who's talking. We can really kind of practice clearing our mind and being present in the current moment to the talker, to the communicator. And then don't interrupt or assume that you know what the person's going to say. We've probably had this happen before when we're communicating something and the person that we're talking to cuts us off to finish our sentence, and it's wrong. And that's not what I was trying to say. If only you would listen, right? So in order to avoid that and be an effective and empathetic listener, we want to try to listen to the entire statement and not fill in the gaps or assume or interrupt. Sometimes we want to assert ourselves because we feel valuable when we assert ourselves and add our perspective and or maybe support the person if they're having trouble saying something. But that's making it about you. If you're going to be an effective empathetic listener, you really want to put yourself aside and focus on the individual and not make it about you. So those are the basics of communication. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you either learned something new or thought of something differently. Maybe you thought of something in a different way that you hadn't thought of before. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Again, this is Carly with Goodwill Columbus. Valerie's on the line. Thanks for helping us out, Valerie. Thanks for being the moderator this morning. Really appreciate you. And we talked about communication. And keep in mind that if you want a little bit of more information, if you want more information about Goodwill, you can find us online. Our contact information is in the info section. You can send us an email, send us a call or a text, and reach out. And please consider utilizing our services, our one-on-one, our free promotion that we're doing now in order to support the community and support you in your career journey. So Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.